Hello, so this is basically our general discussion slash spoiler episode for The Witcher 3 video game. If you mind spoilers and you don't want anything spoiled for you, then you should probably not listen to this. However, if you do not mind spoilers, then continue listening, and I hope you like this.
Anyway, I guess that concludes the general discussion of the game. I'm trying to think. Anything else, guys?
Not really. Not that I can.
Actually, I would say there is a lot of people that say like the best like parental relationships with Last of Us, Telltale's Walking Dead, and I think Witcher in certain ways can actually be just as good in those regards.
Ooh. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I'd agree.
I don't know.
I think it's a good relationship between him
Yeah.
and Ciri. I don't think it's a good relationship between him and Yennefer, though.
As I told,
As
I told Armstrong, I relate with Geralt and Yennefer because I have been in that relationship.
Yeah, that shitty manipulative relationship where
you were whipped,
strangle that bitch.
Jesus, yeah.
I've been in sexually dominating relationships before, and they're great until they're not.
Yeah, if she
Geralt, it seems most of the time it's not.
If she couldn't send a raven through his eye, Geralt would choke that bitch out. At least a little bit. Because you know what? Geralt's a motherfucker, and he'd do it.
You know what?
It's like once you're done with everything, like once everything wraps up, and it's like you can start being that guy where it's like I'm not taking any fucking shit anymore. Fuck everyone else. Fuck you too, Yennefer.
I actually just had them both hate me because I slept with them both, so they just like ignored me for the rest of the game, which kind of sucked. But
well, okay, yeah, just cut that part out.
Yeah.
Well, what do you expect? I don't know. Yeah, you can cut it out, but I think like the Ciri, you can come back in on this part. It's like the Ciri Geralt relationship was weird to me. First of all, you're right with Yennefer. It was like she's supposed to be his true love. Like Triss was supposed to be the side bitch.
Well, that's like the implication.
In the second game,
was the implication.
Well,
in the second game,
it's
literally
it's what they think. Like that, it's what the two characters think. It's what Yennefer and Geralt thinks, more or less. But everyone else around them is like, God, your relationship is a fucking poison.
Well, I'm not even referring to that. It's like the narration for the second game. Like I keep calling it the first game but the second game they say, "I'm looking for Yennefer, the woman I love, my true love. She's captured by the Wild Hunt, blah blah blah." And then she turns out to be this kind of like bitch. I was like, what? The payoff. All what they set up in the second game, I was so disappointed.
It's pretty much suggested that it's like, yeah, Geralt is kind of like, is extremely whipped.
No, because you should be able to take
more or less.
Like you can take a choice, right? You can be like, no, fuck you.
Yeah, but it is also. I'm sorry. I'll let you.
Fernando wants to say that.
Maybe it's just because I've been in that situation. I'm like, he's not really whipped. Okay, maybe it's just that it's an outsider looking in. Maybe it's just like
she could be a lot nicer. Let's be honest.
She could be a bitch. Like she's constantly giving him shit. She's constantly treating him like shit.
And maybe it's just like I see two similarities, and I'm just like, I see how this can happen.
I think it's just you've been abused so much that it's like,
come on, Fernando, you got to escape the whipping boy zone or the friend zone or whatever zone.
It's not even the friend zone. This is just like...
Oh, because they'll let you have sex for 30 seconds after you do all their chores shit?
No. Let's not go that far. Anyway, no. It's just more like...
They sit there on their iPhone as you try to have sex after you just...
God damn it, Alan! Making me look bad as shit. No. It's just that it seems like a perfectly believable relationship, and as much as we like to say Yennefer's a bitch and all that stuff, there are moments where you generally see why they are a couple, and you see there is affection between the two of them and rich history. And we like to go like, oh, but Triss, like, I like Triss, she's a fine character and all that stuff, but she seems kind of, in certain ways, a little too perfect and a little like, That's just like...
a little
it's
plain.
Like, when you go to her story... Like, when the story focuses on Triss in The Witcher 3...
Novigrad.
Yeah, on Novigrad, you do see that fucked upness, and you do see a lot of what she has to go through. Yeah. Especially when you turn her Yeah, okay, this is going to be the point where so review's done. We're talking about the story shit right now.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Yeah, so, and we're going to probably cut this up. I'm going to find the perfect time to cut this up.
Well, let me just say one thing about the Ciri relationship. It's like, I thought there was, you're gonna call me fucked up, but I thought there was sexual tension there.
Did you?
I did not see that at all.
Interesting fact.
Absolutely.
If you read the books, it's strongly suggested that Ciri wanted to bang the leader of the Wild Hunt.
Yeah,
I know that's a suggestion in the book because she was kind of in the book. Avalak brings her to him, and then the part of the thing was like, hey, you could have his child, and she was like 16 or something.
Yeah, and she was tempted. And it's kind of funny, like, they built this whole thing of like, oh yeah, the guy poisoned the king. It's like, no, he gave him an overdose of Viagra.
And also in the book, I don't know if you know this, she was also almost raped, and then raped somebody. Then it was like a weird sexual relationship.
Yeah.
And she's also young, so I can see. It's not like it's like, oh my god, it's like, ooh, ugh.
Yeah, but no, but it's like, especially like once you give her up to like the witch hunters, it's like, oh yeah, like there are complexities with Triss.
The witch hunters? You mean the Wild Hunt?
No, the witch hunters, the dudes that are all in the brown leather.
Yeah.
There's a
Those
mission
are the
where
witch hunters.
you take her to like, quote unquote, like, she's like, oh, I got her so I can speak to this guy to find more information.
Oh no, I just killed everybody. I just chopped everyone.
Well, that's the reaction. Yeah, you just
lit that bitch on fire.
Yeah.
No, she didn't even leave.
I actually saw both of those things, and in the one where she gets tortured, she does some. She's like, I am tired of these motherfuckers, and she murders the fuck out of everybody.
Like, it is a legitimate thing where
I thought they did like what they did with Liara in Mass Effect 2, especially after Liara the Shadow Broker. They made her a much more interesting character as a result of the second game, where you see her. I thought in the first game...
She always got short shrift in the first and second game, because they kept fucking taking her out of it.
Yeah, in the first game it was...
What about Ciri?
No, Triss.
Oh, yeah, okay.
In both
she
games,
was pretty badass in the second game.
No, she was, but it was like she was only there for like the first part.
And the very end.
And like 2 minutes of the end, everything else, it was like she was gone.
Actually, she appears more regularly in the first game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought she was the main love, and then they set up Yennefer. And
I think that's a problem with just like how they.
That is the problem.
With the books, Yennefer is his love, and you see that relationship in there too.
Yeah, and so I didn't.
It's also a problem because like The Witcher 3, like once you go to Skellig Isles, they kind of keep forcing you.
Not forcing you. I don't think they
Yeah.
No, because
they kind of do.
It is a rigid framework to like explore the romances.
Them forcing you a romance, forcing that romance with Yennefer.
Okay, but I wouldn't say they're forcing a romance. I think it's more they're exploring two characters that have so many years of history together, and that they're doing a mission together, and they're talking about their relationship like adults. I don't see that as forcing.
I don't even see that, but the thing is, they don't really talk about the relationship. It's like constant flirting, and that's really it.
I don't know what game you're playing, but definitely, especially during The Last Wish, they talk about several times their adventures.
Yeah,
they
during
interact.
The Last Wish, but I'm talking besides that, throughout the entire thing, whenever they hang out, there's like heavy fucking flirting and kind of a forcedness. Romance. Like The Last Wish, but that's entirely focused on them. Like the 2 quests with Triss are entirely focused on him and Triss.
Let me mediate this. Because I fall in the middle. You meet her, and she's supposed to be the love of your life. Got captured by the Wild Hunt. You just go meet her in this game, and she like gives you the cold shoulder, and I'm like, wait, what's happening? Isn't this supposed to be like super like romantic, like reuniting, and it's like, aren't we supposed to embrace, and the music's supposed to swell, and the camera's supposed to spin around? I was like, I thought you were the whole motivation for everything I did. And she's just like, hi, Geralt.
You see, that, I like
we've got to talk about Nilfgaard. It's like, what?
I honestly appreciate
bitch, how about
that.
we sit down and fucking talk instead of talking at the end of the fucking game?
here's what I'll say. I'll say two things. I wish there was more in the beginning of the game. They had a moment to discuss, but I also
But yes,
got,
at the end, I wanted to mediate it. At the end, you do get to hash things out with her and just dialogue. It's like, what happened when we were captured by the Wild Hunt, which is weird. Something I'd like to see, not just like talk about. It's like, yeah, we did this, this, and this, and I didn't contact you because you lost your memory and blah, 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 blah. And then I popped out and I just kind of went about my way and I ignored you. I thought
Well, I
we were
mean-
in love. It's like, what?
I think it makes perfect sense to me because it's just like there's a lot of moving pieces, and there's like she mentioned they specifically mentioned like, hey, I thought you were with Triss at a certain point, and there was all this other stuff that it to me it in some ways I feel it's a little weird I didn't have certain discussions at certain points, but I
thought
also
they should
got
have
that
done it way earlier than,
Yeah.
like, okay, finally we're in Skellig. I'm in an inn. Let's talk briefly about what happened. I was like, finally, when I had these 3 dialogue options. And even then, she keeps it short and just expects you to go do what she wants. And I was like, I'm supposed to love this person? I'm confused. I want more. Like, and then, like, you finally do the romance quest and you find out there's a spell that binds you and you shrug that off. And then it's like, oh, I guess.
Maybe it's just because we always see in video games, we always see like the beginning of a relationship. We never see like the middle of a relationship, like when you're in that level of complacency or a level of like, there's a certain level of understanding between two people in a relationship that you have when you've been in it more or longer, that certain things are unsaid or just kind of known. Whereas here, we see it as that, and we always see like in Mass Effect, like the beginning of a relationship, so everybody's like, we need to talk, or we're like that. And I appreciate something that they do something different with a romance that we normally see in games.
Sorry, though. They got captured by a group of otherworldly elves that ride around on a ghost ship and took her to another dimension, and then they were separated. He lost his memory, and all this shit happened, and he became the hero of fucking whatever, and then they show up again, it's like, hi. What? Do something more than that! I was so confused, and then she starts talking about the main objective of the game, Ciri, who's this new person I don't know of. And it's like, oh yeah,
you don't
she's your
know
daughter.
her unless, like, again,
You read the books, or
you read
she's
the
mentioned
books.
briefly in the first one.
Yeah,
and
she's mentioned briefly, very briefly in the first one.
And so I went for my main motivation. They talk it up in Witcher 2. I remember it. She was my one true love. I must find her. This quest will lead me closer to Yennefer. And then you just show up, and then it's like it's all redirected to Ciri, and it's like this new woman, and I'm like, well, who's she? And then it cuts this flashback, and I'm supposed to love this girl like a daughter, and it's like, but I don't. She looks stupid. And who is she? What about Yennefer? And now we've got to find her. 80% of the game, we've got to find her. And then we find her, and it's like, yeah, okay, well, she's the chosen one. We're going with that, and then she saves the world. I didn't like it that much.
Well, I mean,
I was confused about my objective. I was confused about Yennefer and all what happened in the second game, and they kind of it culminated in like a pretty typical like fight the bad guys who have the demon voices and then save the world. And it was funny because you didn't even play the character save the world, which on one hand is interesting, on the other hand is a detriment because why are you there then? You're a henchman. Literally, you're a lapdog for Yennefer for most of the game. Everyone kind of knows you, and they all make fun of you for being a lapdog for Yennefer. And then at the end of the game, they don't even tell you Ciri and the mage guy, the elf mage, don't even tell you the main plan. They just tell you,
that elf dude's always been an asshole, though. It's pretty much.
Well, I felt like an asshole. I'm like, so I'm just interfering. I'm trying to fight. I'm trying to like find Ciri. I'm just interfering the whole time.
Yeah. I do admit, though, it does kind of. You do kind of get that feeling where it's like, yeah, you're pretty much a fucking lapdog for
you like go to
Yennefer,
fight him. It's like, yeah,
for the most part, when you're like, maybe we shouldn't be fucking around with the Skelligs and their fucking house, and she's like, oh, don't be such a fag. She's pretty much going, don't be such a pussy, Geralt. Get some fucking balls. And then when you finally step up to her, it's like, oh, God, Jesus.
I guess it is a fine line, because in this game, I did feel like a henchman that would not even have been the main character if this was a different franchise.
Which I understand.
But it's a fine line.
It's like, that's the whole thing of The Witcher, that's the whole job of being a Witcher, is that you're not really the hero, you're just the dude who needs to do all this shit.
Yeah,
you are the henchman.
You made that argument, but I'm gonna say in the second game, I've been saying this a lot.
I know you have,
I
and
felt
we
I
talked
felt
about this
like the
before.
hero.
Damn, bro, get off that second game's dick, man.
Never. It's the best game. It's like 10 out of 10 for me, honestly. I felt like a hero because, first of all, I committed like regicide, so that made me important automatically. I was wanted, meaning I was important to the story, more so than this game ever. You know, I was just contracted by the Emperor of Nilfgaard. He didn't even seem that interested to find Ciri. Anyway, in the second game, you want to clear your name, which is a big motivation. You want to find Yennefer, which is, I guess, it had a mystique to it, so I had the motivation. And then it's like, you go to the summit and you interact with all the kings. They all get to know you. Then you make some pivotal choices. Not to mention in the second act, you liberate a town or whatever. The other option is pretty stupid. But like, the final summit of the third game, you make a ton of choices depending on who you choose to reveal evidence to, and about the fucking witches, about the different political stuff.
Well,
And
it's kind of
I felt like
interesting
I was a
because
player. I felt like I was a player, not a henchman. In this game, it's a fine line. I agree. I know what you're talking about, but I
well,
felt
it's kind of like in the end though of The Witcher 2, you don't really do. I mean, you're not the one in the end who actually exposes the society of the plot of the witches. The guy who actually
yeah, you are.
does it. No, the dude who does it is the Nilfgaardian guy. Is what the fuck
Letho.
is his name? Not Letho. No, not Letho. The
Ambassador.
Nilfgaardian guy who tortures Triss. Fuck, what's his name? Let me see. I'm gonna look him up. Give me a sec.
Choose to reveal the information to someone, the Redanian king, which I did because I thought I'd be allied with him, and he just goes crazy in this one.
Let's see. Who the fuck is it?
You told Radovid.
Keep talking. I need to find this guy.
Well, I thought Radovid was rational in the second game. I thought he was.
He was
I was
an
like, yeah.
asshole in the second game. He's always been an asshole.
I
okay.
always thought that he had the right idea, and I kind of wanted to oppose the fucking,
I think
the Germans.
I think it goes to a certain point where I think Witcher 2 is not as much as a personal story as Witcher 3 is, and Witcher 2 is more like you see Geralt's adventure during like a lot of political intrigue and a lot of
you get amnesia. Yeah, so you're not really dealing with Geralt very much.
Yeah, whereas Witcher 3 was much more of a personal story. We got to know Geralt a lot more. We got to know the people around him. And it's honestly like, it just comes down to what type of story you prefer to the difference between Witcher 2 and 3. I think
I'll say that. Yeah, I'll say that. I'll speak for myself. It's like, oh, yeah, that's
him and the other guy who he was working with. They're the ones that, in the end, blow the whole thing wide open at the summit near the end, and that's around the time when the fucking dragon chick comes in. What the fuck is her name? Not Eorvith. What the fuck? Saskia. Yeah,
no, he's
and that's when she comes in. But before that happens, it's Deathmold and this other Nilfgaardian dude who come in and are like, "Oh yeah, here's a fucking list of everyone that is a witch and has been and actually killed the one king, those two kings, Foltest and the other guy."
Yeah.
And this is from was it the other king was called Demavend. And it's like, oh yeah, here, we got this from Triss Marigold, who was also one of the people who were working about this. And yeah, so fucking string them up, yo. And it was all
And we see the consequences of those decisions.
Yeah. And it was all a plan to continue this, to start this war with the Nilfgaardians.
Which is where Letho comes in, because he was assigned to cause a lot of like wars and internal conflicts within those kingdoms, so that Nilfgaard could come in and take over.
Right.
Yeah, but what I did is I tried to oppose the Germans because they're usually the bad guys, and I went with Radovid and I revealed this all to him. So I felt like I was a big player, and it felt like I almost had an ally, and then it just turned out to be crazy.
It's
and
like,
I
think it's like you may feel like a big player, but compared, and you kind of are. I mean, honestly, The Witcher.
Well, more so in the third game than the third game.
I mean, like The Witcher 2 is probably the second biggest, because in the long run, compared to the giant scheme, what you basically do is, depending on your choice, you either save one small town in Chapter 1, or turn it over to the elves and all the like,
and they'll pretty much destroy the fucking town. And then in chapter 2, you either save this city, this new city.
And you can also save a dragon, and you can save one of the witch's eyesight or her life. So you
But then
do a
in
lot of
Witcher
choices.
3, I think
you can just save the world by killing a couple.
I think
elves.
but you're simplifying it more than anything. But in The Witcher 3, you basically stop what was basically an army invasion.
No, they weren't going to invade.
It was
they just
invasion.
wanted
Yeah,
Ciri.
they straight up said, yeah, but the reason they wanted Ciri was so that they could invade, because their teleporting powers were not as good as hers. They could only send a small team. Yeah, they could only send a couple at a time. With Ciri, they could have sent. They could have
opened it and put their whole armies.
The entire army could have gone through. It was all an invasion plan.
Then what's the White Frost? Because that was supposed to be the.
That was pretty much. Well, I explained that to you. That was pretty much our equivalency of like Ragnarok, which was like it's an event. It's not really a person. Different. It's an event.
Yeah, and then
that comes.
Ciri stops that without
It's not like the Reapers, where it's a physical manifestation or it's a person. It's basically. It's like what's the thing that we always talk about?
It's something that's inevitably going to happen because we see several points in the game later on that when Geralt is traveling, like he can see like, oh, this is a world where the frost hit. This could be a different world or a different time.
So that's like the big end all. And she saves it. She solves it off screen, literally off screen. She solves that problem.
But that's not your story. That's Ciri's story, and that's her own personal thing. Now.
Well, yeah, and it has way more gravity than anything Geralt did.
Yeah, but is this?
I just felt like I was in her shadow the whole time. Like I wanted to.
They're called The Witcher.
Well, yeah, it should be called Ciri, this one, because it would have been a more interesting story. I think.
I disagree.
I think it's more interesting. Well, because you said to me that it was more interesting that you. And The Witcher 2 not really killing Letho or just having a beer and talking to him. It's because it was something different.
I had more choices in The Witcher 2 as well.
And here it's just as much different because you are not really the hero. You're not technically you're not really the main character. You're the main character in your story, in Geralt's personal story.
Yeah, you're not the main character.
But it's kind of like Dark Souls where it's like where it's like you're not that important to the grand scheme of things.
And this is a story that's been set up from the original novel. It's like Ciri's always been this child of space and time, and we've seen her powers, and she has always had a bigger thing to play. It's one of those things where I could easily see this going like, okay, this is the last Witcher game. This is the end of Geralt, because they already said this. I can easily see them going, from here on out, we're going to tell Ciri's adventures or another character. Because
you know what? I would pay to play as Letho.
Well, Letho's such a badass.
A Letho story, because he was always a very interesting character.
You know, honestly, I would pay to play a prequel game where you get to play the adventures of young Geralt, Escort, and Lambert.
You know what? I think the next game is...
That was the best part of the entire fucking game.
You know what? The next game is probably going to be Kira Metz and Lambert, because they went off together.
You know what? I like
Lambert is the next main character. Just this asshole.
I fucking love Lambert. Lambert was an asshole, but he was cracking me up the whole time.
Yeah, he was funny at some points, but when he got all prickly, I was like, fuck you.
You know what I love? I love the part where him, Lambert, and Eskel got drunk as hell.
Oh, that was the highlight of the whole game.
Yeah, that was the best part. Yeah.
And then I love the part where he just put on the dresses on. All the dresses and just talking to random...
I didn't go that far. I don't know why somebody would be inclined to cross-dress. I don't know. Shit.
I thought it was funny as hell.
Because they're like, we need to talk to the mages. Okay, we need to look like we're sorcerers because they're all drunk as fuck. Let's put on some dresses.
Jesus Christ. I don't think that will ever work. I just turned it on and the guy got scared.
They were drunk out of goddamn... That shit was hilarious. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was fucking brilliant. But yeah,
I turned it on and he was on the shitter and he just saw Witchers and he said, "Holy shit!"
He's like, "Holy shit, we're getting invaded."
I just wanted to go like, "Hey, is your refrigerator running? You better go catch it." It's just like
some prank call bullshit. The first prank call ever.
Squire, the fucking Witchers are invading.
So the Witches are invading. Yeah, it'd be creepy to see three guys with eyes like that and a sword.
And dresses. Like, oh shit. If these motherfuckers have swords and dresses, these guys mean fucking business.
And I get that. I get that it's not Geralt's story is the main plot, but and I guess because it's based off a book, I guess I have to like deal with that because it's not really the game's choice then. But I would have liked to be involved more. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. You know,
You
it's
know
like
what?
I wanted to be involved more. I thought I was in Witcher 2 and not so much in this game.
You know,
Pretty much.
I
They
think
had me
it's,
kill a lot of dudes. I killed a lot of dudes, but that was like, yeah, you killed that guy? Okay, good. Sit down. We're gonna
here's the
go.
thing, Alan. I can't exactly argue with you because it's just more like you wanted to see a different story than I wanted to see that it ended up being. Because I
Well, the
like
off-screen thing, like, didn't everybody bitch at fucking No Country for Old Men for concluding off-screen?
I mean, we saw
Well, that was
enough.
kind of different. I mean, that was complete. That's kind of different because what happened was it didn't show a jack shit, and then it went, and then No Country for Old Men went to fucking what's his face, the old man, old
Yeah.
It went
face.
Yeah,
to
talk about.
Candleback's face.
Yeah, Candlelight's face, just talking out of his ass for no reason.
But to me, I think if we break down the sequence of events here, it's like 70% of the game is in the footsteps of Ciri. Being yelled at, go find Ciri, and then you're just piecing together what cool shit she did. And then you find her, and then you talk to this guy, and then you fight these dudes, and then you fight them again.
Yeah.
And then you go up and you're like, hey, what's with this tower? And they're like, piss off, we got this. And then happy ending. That's simple, but literally the last stretch of the game is fight the big baddie who you have no idea what his motivation is, except he's evil. He comes out of the sky and he fucks people
Well,
up.
it's like it's pretty much implied that for the Wild Hunt, the reason that they're trying to do this is to escape this great cold, this Armageddon that is going
Because
everywhere
it's coming to them
to
next.
different alternate universes, and they're like, you know what, fuck it, we need to grab this chick because she'll help us be able to invade this universe, this dimension, much, much easier. And so let's just do that.
Yeah, it's kind of, and he also killed the previous king who was, all the elves were
With
pretty nice.
Viagra, with an overdose of Viagra.
So
Hey, man,
he's
if you're
he's
gonna
kind of
go,
just an
that's the way to
asshole.
go.
He's just an asshole that I didn't find relatable. And the other game
No.
had more of a mature story with relatable enemies or antagonists. So
I think
I was
he's
a little
available-
upset about that. And then at the end, literally the final conflict with the force of Frost or the death, the big Armageddon thing, you just don't even see it. And then I cut to like, I've got to get this blade. Is the blade ready? I'm just thinking like, what the fuck is happening? Oh, the blade is really good. Thank you. Go back and it's Ciri. I'm like, well, of course. And then happy ending. I was like, wow.
Actually, I had a different ending where she was like, because there's 3 different main endings for this game with variations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Fernando.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna like a point that we were making earlier. I think that your love of this game, not love, but where you feel like how I do or Alan does depends on what type of game you're really looking for. Like if you're looking for a
Right.
great character drama, I think The Witcher 3 works better than the previous Witcher 2. If you're looking for a very political espionage kind of like maneuvering game like that, I think The Witcher 2 works a lot better for that. And I like the play on how you see the mentor's perspective. You see the Obi-Wan to Luke Skywalker story almost to a certain extent. Like I like that. I like that we see a story that we've seen played out many times over and over again from a different perspective. I
But
appreciate
really,
that.
the elf guy is the Obi-Wan. He taught her everything about how to control her powers, and we got to go do this and that. They didn't tell Geralt shit. Geralt didn't know anything about her powers or what to do.
Well, I mean, yes and no, because I mean, like in the the father figure kind of perspective, like you see, and he also taught her how to.
Yeah, a little bit. You can be a goofball with her once or twice. I never got really attached with her, but yeah, I agree with your point. It is different. Like if you come into Witcher 3 without the expectations from Witcher 2, it'll be a great game. But I literally thought that I would be on Redania's side, fighting the Nilfgaardians with a dragon as an ally, and none of that happened.
I just didn't.
Yeah, I never thought that it was going to happen that crazy.
Yeah.
I thought that. I was like, look, I helped this guy out. And then that bitch, I got her blinded. She wasn't even angry with me. I literally was like, yeah, blind that bitch in the last game. I imported my game save and she's like, hi, Geralt, I'm blind. I'm like, what? Wouldn't you be like kill me angry right now, and she's just continued through the game with a blindfold on.
I do like how she just that one thing where she just I like the part where Philip and Geralt are talking, and she just kind of deconstructs all of Geralt's relationship. Like, oh, you have some weird fucked up relationship, Geralt. I mean, you and Yen pay the mothers. Triss is like her big sister, but she wants to hop into bed to you at any given chance. So,
yeah, I didn't really see. I had problems developing a relationship or like understanding the relationship between Geralt and Ciri. It was just thrust on me. Like I didn't even know that character existed. And I was more worried about like other stuff, and none of it came to. Like, all my expectations just were subverted.
maybe it's just because I did a lot of research and read some more stuff and stories.
Yeah, I didn't even know Ciri existed. I thought she was a new character.
Maybe it's just because I had more of an attachment to the character and I knew more about the lore that I kind of had a different expectation than you did.
Yeah, I definitely had different expectations. I don't know what happened. I got to play Witcher 2 again, but I literally came out of that thinking Radovid was the way to go.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe I was being biased against the Nazis or whatever, but like, they're nice. In this game, they're super nice. The Nilfgaardians, organized, rational, fucking understandable.
If anything, Radovid is the Nazi.
Yeah, Radovid's an asshole. He randomly became an asshole. I was like, why did I ally with him? There must have been some conflict. There's no way I would ally with this guy.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just an Nazi.
If you go back to The Witcher 2 and you talk to him a lot more, he always came off as a fucking asshole. He hated anyone that was a peasant. He despised anyone that was different from him. You go back and you replay it, it's like, yeah, he was always a fucking asshole.
The signs were there, Alan. The signs were there.
Maybe, I don't remember quite exactly. But
I'm assuming, like we all said before, we all really enjoyed this game, probably to varying degrees.
Right.
Alan, I know you had your problem with it, but I'm assuming that, like, when you make
There's no denying it's a good game.
Like, I'm assuming, like...
It's a great game, even. I mean, you'll have a blast.
Like, even when you make your top 10 list, I'm pretty sure it's going to be there, somewhere in that top 10 list.
Well, what else would be? Final Fantasy XIV, the expansion? I don't know.
Yes.
I haven't gotten to the expansion yet, because it's all locked out. I have to do the story missions.
I thought
the
it was
story missions in an MMO.
It's gonna be Fallout Shelter.
Yeah, Fallout Shelter. I just got into Puzzles and Dragons, so one.
I say, y'all, this has been our Witcher spoiler cast. This is the Racial Community Podcast.
Yep.
I am one of the co-hosts, Fernando Rodriguez, joined with the lovely...
The retarded guest, Alan.
I said lovely. Sure.
Special guest.
The special guest. The lovely special guest, Alan.
And me, the host. Ryan Graff.
Thank you for joining us. Please play the game. It is the best game out right now. Fuck Batman.
All right.
They deserve our support, really.
What?
They're such a good company, CD Projekt Red.
Yeah, they're a good company.
All I know is I'm excited for Cyberpunk.
Yeah, whatever that's gonna be.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't end with that, like, I want more mature stuff, like political stuff, not like we gotta fight the big baddies and save the world.
I'm pretty sure Cyberpunk to me is gonna be more akin to Witcher 2 and stuff. And I don't know.
I was so surprised by how mature the storyline was. I was like, dude, you gotta focus on the politics to actually get anything from this. Whereas the last one, it's like, yeah, go kill those demon dudes from the sky.
Well, guys, I'm sorry, but I gotta go. It was good seeing you. Happy 4th of July and all. Wait, do Canadians celebrate 4th of July?
Nope. That's
what do you think, bro?
Yeah, I would think no.
I mean, Americans...
You guys have your own version
of 4th
of July?
we celebrate President's Day, Flag Day, but not the 4th of July. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. We don't celebrate any of that shit. It's not a Canadian holiday.
They're like Americans. They celebrate Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, I was just curious. Like, do you guys have your own version of, like, 4th of July or some shit?
No,
Canada Day was 3 days ago.
They're still a fucking territory for the British, almost.
Yeah, God Save the Queen Day and all that shit.
God Save the Queen Day?
All right.
I think we do have a Queen Day or something.
Weird.
And all your gays were rainbow colors. It's great.
All right, see you guys.
All right, see you.